We are live here on the Me and Jesse podcast.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Well, for most of us.
I'm not saying a word. I don't want to talk about football today. I just don't.
Really? We have to. This is a sports podcast.
Oh, that's right. It is. It is.
Yes.
Yeah,
we do have to talk about sports.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. It's fine. Other than my fantasy team has turned it up, man. They're on fire.
You have a little bit of a gift in that department, eh? The fantasy football stuff. You're like a little bit.
Doing it for 20 years.
A little bit iconic in that world. I heard. I hear that on the.
I'm winning. I'm potential of winning both leagues I'm in, champions.
Oof. Wow.
Well, so hey.
Levels.
There's levels to this.
There is.
Oh boy, what a race yesterday though in the F1 world. It's all coming down to the last race.
Isn't that incredible?
It's amazing. It's
never been like this for a while.
It's the best. If you started watching F1 this year, this was the best season ever to start watching. It's been absolutely unbelievable. There's been controversy. There's been amazing races. There's been right down to the last race. But when we come back, our guest just goes. When we come back, we'll be joined by a very special guest. Be right back.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. I am Mark Pavlich in the Grove across the way, the big sexy Jesse Martineau, and our special guest today, all the way from Sin City, one of my favorite places on the planet, the one and only Bristol Marunde.
What's happening, guys? How you doing?
Fantastic.
Hey, we're doing really good. Thanks so much for joining us. How's Vegas right now?
Man, Vegas is awesome, dude. I just went to a huge boxing fight this weekend, and it was packed, man. Nobody's wearing masks. People are eating, drinking, having a good time. That's what I like
my
to see.
place.
And
sounds like where I want to be.
It was indoors too, right? It wasn't outdoor. It was indoor.
Yeah, indoors, man.
Indoors.
It's MGM.
So how is it there, Bristol? Since you brought it up so quickly, and I know that you see things like a lot of Americans see things, but in Canada right now, in Canada where we are right now, it is vaccination mania, and you can't do nothing without vaccination. I'll give you an example, Bristol. My son was getting married, okay, in Vancouver, Canada. I had to get vaccinated or I would not be allowed to go to the actual wedding of my son. And I said to people, listen, I'm not anti anything. I'm pro freedom. Okay. Right. So if I want to get a vaccine, I'm going to get a vaccine. If I want to wear a mask, I'm going to wear a mask, but no one should be, and this is my opinion, no one should be mandated to do either. So Jesse's more aligned with the way you've been doing stuff because he is anti all of it. So
I'm anti-communism.
Anti-communism, right?
I'm pro freedom. That's all.
Yeah.
And same with me. But in Canada right now, you cannot walk a step. You have to wear a mask. You have to get vaccinated. Well, you don't have to, but you won't be able to do anything. You have to. It's almost to the point now.
You can get the test still. You can still get a test, and you can do most
That's
things.
Right.
Yeah, but it's what we call coercion. They're basically they're holding you hostage but
Correct.
saying you can leave anytime you want, but there's a gun pointed at you.
Yeah.
We might shoot you.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of freedom in the world. I'm like, come on, world. And it's not just Canada. This is bigger. It's bigger than all of us. And I just wish people would just be cool with it. Hey, get a vaccine, cool. If you don't want it, cool.
I agree.
I never shame anybody for wearing a mask. I personally don't wear one, but I go out of my way to smile and say, hey, I like your mask. I'm not going to shame people for it. You should be allowed to do what you want.
Correct. And that's the page I'm on. But what we've seen happen now. See, you in Canada right now, how it's been broken down. You cannot walk into a store maskless. You cannot.
Yeah.
So this is becoming.
So that's my wife, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, you can, but
you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to.
Yeah, but 99% of people are wearing a mask in a store, right? Like the second you walk in, and then the second you walk out, you take it off. Like, but this is the way the game's become. I agree with you too. We were on this show six months ago, a year ago, talking about how this was going to happen. All the airlines, we knew the airlines were going to do it. We knew the stores were all going to do it. So they're basically handcuffing everybody to say, listen, you better go get this or you're not going to be able to function.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just surprised that the businesses are going along with it. As far as I thought corporate was kind of our friend because we were the consumer. Where's the consumer's power? Like suddenly now there is no consumer power. No. Like, what the
That's
hell?
The interesting part I find too. I really find that because usually the market decides things like that. And this time it isn't as much. And I know a lot of my friends that own businesses got forced into the program where they have to be now the police or law enforcement checking everyone's card. And you're like,
what? Yeah, what is,
because their whole business is ready to go bankrupt because if I don't do this, I'm screwed.
Yeah. I'm gonna go broke.
Yeah. What is a minimum wage worker doing telling someone like me to put on a mask? Like it's odd that they put those people in that position to give medical advice. And I'm like, I can't give medical advice. I can't tell you. Maybe a mask might make you pass out and die. I can't do it. The chances are probably pretty slim, but they're still not 100%.
Yeah, it's not our job.
Exactly, dude.
It's not the 16-year-old hostess's job at the restaurant.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I know. So you say Canada's getting bad, or already is bad, but we're seeing it here in the States too. So, just because Americans are gun-toting freedom, that kind of stigma, there's a lot of like federal government pushback on, reservations and things. My fight promotion has been canceled for 2 years. I haven't been able to promote fights because of the reservations are following CDC because they're very federally aligned. The federal government. So now they're mandating that people go to concerts at casinos, the Native American casinos. They have to be vaxxed. And so it puts me and, of course, all MMA fighters, I'd say 90% are getting vaccinated. So I'm like, well, there goes my fight card. I can't go in the building.
You said the reservations are actually trusting the government there? That's ironic.
In Canada, it's different.
Canada's a little different. Yeah, they're like, no,
that's where it is different. Yeah, for sure it is. Canada, when it comes to the reservation, it's much different. They basically, they say,
they're like, we don't trust you guys.
No thanks. Oh, we're not allowed to stay open 24 hours? Yes, we are. That's what they do here. So,
they're exercising their sovereignty. Yeah.
Their sovereignty, yeah, of course.
Hey,
but listen, I'm going to get off that because I know people at home want to know more about you, and I think a lot of people think the same way as you do, and a lot of people are scared to think that way, or not. I shouldn't say scared to think that way, but scared to voice their opinion. But I want to know how a guy from Fairbanks, Alaska, is sitting now in Las Vegas, Nevada, married to a beautiful girl with beautiful children, and fought in the UFC, was on the Tough Show, and now is on Flip or Flop Las Vegas, a very successful show on HGTV. How does that happen?
Well, her name's Aubrey, and she's extremely smart. She's beautiful. She's a good designer, and she made a lot of this shit happen too. So it's teamwork.
Yes.
So I would say, when people ask me, hey, how did all this happen? Some of it was just dumb luck, but I think a lot of it was just not quitting along the way and just continuing to go. Like lose a fight. Well, I'm going to keep fighting. And then something good comes along. And then it's I keep filming, keep doing construction, keep flipping houses. I'm juggling multiple things. And it was difficult along the way. So we say, well, how did you get here? Because I had like 3 or 4 things going on all the same time. And so was it difficult? Did it hurt my fight career? Flipping houses the whole entire time working? Yeah, I probably stunted my fight career. But at the same time, I look back and I go, man, thank God. I am where I am. I'm just so happy because I have this career. I have money. We have houses. We're just extremely blessed because I didn't sit on the couch and play video games as a fighter. I advanced a career. I was always working. I was promoting fights. The night I fought Jacare Souza in Strikeforce, I promoted a fight that same night. So I was on the phone with guys like, hey, no excuses. You got to make weight. Hold on. I got to go weigh in. And people are like, dude, you're crazy. And I'm like, I know. I'm like, it's too much. But at the same time, I made a pact with myself in the very beginning of when I was in my early 20s. I will not be a bum fighter someday. I'm not going to be broken down, and I'm not going to be poor ever again.
You're one of the rare ones then, because we see it happen a lot. So you said yourself, like, maybe that hurt the career a bit. But what was it that got you into the fighting game? What got you into that? And was that drive or that passion for that? Yeah. Was that the forefront, or you just said, hey, I'm tough, I could do this?
You know what? It was kind of like, hey, this scares the hell out of me. I feel like I should try it.
Wow.
So jump. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, dude, because I'm not like this mean street fighter. You know, I'm not. I wrestled forever. I was an athlete. So for me, it wasn't like, hey, I need to go prove myself. It was like, wow, this is something that I'm like, I'm gonna get in a cage and fight somebody. I'm like, I don't know. This sounds super sketchy. I gotta try it. And back when my first amateur fight was 2004, and it was like, that was back when you used to buy your own Harbinger gloves from Big Five, and you have to cut the fist pack metal bar out of it. They had to check your hand. You cut your bar out. Yep, I got my bar. And they were like solid rubber, man. Like dangerous.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And so you just packed tape on your hands, and you had these 2 big fists, and you went in and fought in gyms and barns. I fought outside of a Mexican restaurant one time, and it started raining, so we put on wrestling shoes. And so, the fight game was a lot different when I started. Yeah. And I burned myself out. I could see that, like, I took some fights that I shouldn't have along the way because I had no idea. I fought Benji Radek back when he was out of the UFC. He was like 12-3. I think I was like 1-2 at the time. Yeah. And so I'm fighting these big name guys or guys with bigger fights. And I just went in there and did it, and I was like, I look back and I just shake my head. I'm like, the old thing, man, if I could do it over again.
Yeah, but what if but Bristol, if you could do it over again, say hypothetically, the genie comes down, comes down and says, okay, Bristol, I'm going to grant you a wish to do it all over again. So that anybody that's a professional athlete at home, whether they're in the MMA world or not, can learn from what you're going to tell them. What would have you done differently? Instead of your final record, I think was 16-10, right? Yeah. You probably should have ended up, am I right about this? Maybe 21-3, maybe 21-4, not 16-10. Please tell people at home how, if the genie came down, gave you that wish, how would have you done it different?
Exactly. So, okay, I would not have changed my life. Like where I am now, I'm just like, thank God. Yeah. But as far as my fight career, I would have taken smarter fights along the way and built myself up. So my very first pro fight, I flew all the way to New Jersey, kicked the guy's ass. It was awesome. He was a Russian fighter with like 15 fights. It was my first pro fight. And then I fought 2 weeks later, and it was a big mistake because the guy had a ton of fights, and I was coming off a big win. I just graduated college. I took too many fights, and I thought, oh, I'm just tough. I'll just tough it out.
That was a mistake.
Yes, it was a mistake. I took fights too soon, and then I took short notice fights anytime, anywhere. And even in the UFC. So I did it. They said, hey, Joe Silva called me. Hey, do you want to fight up a weight next weekend against a really big guy from Ultimate Fighter? And I was like, I was keeping my weight down because I was a welterweight. But I was like, okay, cool, I'll do it. I look back and I'm like, I had a bum rib. We all have excuses, but you got to be smart. Think about what's best for you, not hey, I'm going to be a team player, because there's times to be selfish, and I was definitely not selfish enough.
But that's an interesting thing, though, because wouldn't you think that you always hear about the guys that take the fights and like, oh, you got to say yes. You got to say yes to that fight because you never know, that could be the thing. If you say no, that could be it. So, you know, so at the sitting there in that moment, I mean, how do you say no?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say, and now after promoting fights for over 10 years, and you too, you've seen that fighters that take short notice fights, you could probably say they lose probably 70% of the time, maybe more.
Maybe more.
So the odds of you winning are not very good.
Right, right. It doesn't matter if you put it on a good show. Then it isn't going to help you in the long run.
And that's the thing. After going through so many years of fighting and promoting, the only things that matters is your record. So you could put on this great show, and you could go out and people love you, and Dana gives you this big $50,000 check. But guess what? You just damage your body. You just shorten your career. You shorten your life. You put your life on the line, and you risked a lot. And now you picked up a loss. So what if you get more fights? You're kind of like, you got to picture yourself as a fighter. You're like a colt. You can't ruin that colt. It's a racehorse. Once it breaks its foot, once it gets something bad,
finished.
It's finished. You're not. Yeah. It's like you've seen it too many times. Guys fight way too long. I did it. I fought way too long. I continue to fight, and you're just playing it, and then eventually it happens. Look, guys that keep breaking their legs. That's the most recent one we've seen, like Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva. Me, I broke my jaw bad my last fight, and I was like, you know what? I've just pushed this for so long, and this is a lot for an adrenaline rush.
Yeah. Growing up in Alaska, did you do much hunting and fishing? That's like you can't grow up in Alaska without doing those things.
I love moose meat and all that wild game, that gamey taste of fresh meat is the best. I love it. And I love it's just being outdoors, cabins, and so it's a good. It's been kind of one thing that really had a lot to do with my upbringing, is just working hard, being outdoors, and it's still kind of the same thing with into fighting, construction. I've always just been a worker.
How do you teach that to your kids now that you live in Vegas?
Yeah, so they're always on a job site with us. We're always putting them to work, and we keep them on a tight schedule. They're both in sports, gymnastics, hockey. Hockey's big in Vegas now.
It is now.
I know, it's crazy.
I love it. So the camps are good.
Oh, cool.
Like all the instructions, hockey is crazy. The kids are loving it. So I'm really happy.
Going to the Stanley Cup final in your first year, that didn't hurt. So,
yeah.
So that was a good start for the Knights. But I'm excited about that too. How's football been now that it's been there for a year?
You had to bring it up, Jesse.
I did.
You had to.
He's a huge Raiders fan, and I called them 8-9 this year. So
I love them so much, Bristol, and we've had a lot of Raiders on the show on our podcast. Yeah. And it just kills me to see them being mediocre. And I'm officially blocked by Derek Carr now on Twitter because I try to egg him to do things the right way, but he wants to be mediocre, and I can't stand mediocrity. And that happened yesterday again. And it's just like it takes me literally 4 days to get over a loss, and it takes me, and I get about an hour of celebration after a win. It's
right. It's crazy. You have to be vaccinated to go to the games, or you have to show proof of it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I know. It's There's literally 60,000 people in a room together with the roof closed. I don't think vax or not vax is gonna make any difference in the world. So
I don't either. And I know for a fact there's at least, I'd say at least 5,000 that have faked it. So
at least.
Oh, absolutely.
More.
As soon as you figure it out, it's actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about Antonio Brown though? Like, see, this is where I do draw a line somewhere. Antonio Brown got caught for making a fake one. So,
right.
So what I'm saying about that is, I'm not okay with him doing that in the NFL. Say you're not vaccinated, big deal, right? I don't want to get vaccinated, right? And players have done that in the NHL. Players have done that in the NFL. Said, I'm not doing it. That's it.
Own it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not going to do it, stand by it, own it. That's what I say too.
And that's what I say too. I say the same thing.
I mean, that's part of growing up with it. You get taught that or you don't. Like, I mean, you have to learn that one because that's a big one, I think, too, though. You got to stand by what you say.
Yeah,
so you moved. Now, did you move to Vegas before HGTV or how did the HGTV thing start?
Right. No, so I was in Vegas and my wife, Aubrey, and we've been flipping houses. Our first house was in 2009. So it was
where at?
Way before HGTV. So we've been doing houses for many years before the show came along. And they just saw what I was posting online and they messaged me. And this was after the Ultimate Fighter. And they messaged me and wanted to interview us. And I just told them, I'm like, look, I already experienced the Ultimate Fighter and reality TV. And I got punched in the face and it wasn't really that fun. Locked in a house. I'm good. And they persisted. They kept messaging me and finally we Skyped. They flew us out to Colorado. They really liked us. They filmed a pilot. Our pilot went to the next level out of 60. And so there's a lot of shows that never
you don't see them. Yeah.
No, there's time. So they're always out recruiting. They're always promoting. They have, like just like all sports or whatever. There's thousands of people that want to do it. And then we went to a pilot episode and it got great ratings. And then we went to season 1, season 2, and season 3. And then here we are now. So it was a wild ride. It was a lot of good experience, but it was also extremely difficult to manage the money, the filming, and having a family. And so there's a lot of factors in this that you don't even think about because on a flipping show, we're footing the bill. So we did on our first season, 13 houses.
Wow.
So you can't buy them all at one time. We don't have $20 million in the bank. Right. And we didn't borrow the money. We're not going to, it's still our business. And the reason we make so much on flipping is because I do the work, Aubrey does the design and the real estate. So we do everything.
Perfect.
We don't just hand it off to another contractor.
Gotcha,
we have our own guys, we have our own crew, but we've developed that over many years. And so doing the show, they wanted us to carry 5 or 6 houses, and that's a lot of money. So we had to sell 1 and 2 to buy 5 and 6. So everything just had to line up perfectly. And there's a few late nights where it was like 2 a.m. and we were just exhausted working 80 hours a week. And we're looking at each other like, oh my God, I got $2,000. How much money do you have? Okay, we got to pay the guys this week. And the network's on our ass about buying houses 5 and 6. And we still haven't sold 2 and 3.
Man, oh man.
That's a lot of pressure, man.
So the pressure was too that the network said, okay, we spend about $1 million per episode. So
wow,
you guys are under contract. So you could be liable for that if you don't finish the houses.
Oh my God.
So
I had the budget's that high on those. I had no idea.
It's so high because they're running production and they it has to go to the network and they have to, there's so much that goes into it. Any day there might be 5 to 10 people on set.
And how often a week do they shoot?
They would shoot every day.
Really?
5-6 days a week. Yep.
Wow. That is a lot.
Because you're moving and I'm still doing all the construction. And then you got to stop on set, quiet on set while you film for 5 or 6 hours. So your guys are just sitting in the corner chilling out. So you're like, all right, I'm paying these, 6 guys to sit around. So there's a lot of weird things that happened, but it was cool because we really saw what we were made of. And there's times where we were working till 2 or 3 in the morning to get the house done. And it puts you in a grinder and to see what you can do. And I think we rose to the challenge, Aubrey and I, with so many houses and so much design and really taking what we do normally in maybe 2 or 3 years and just compressing it into like 7 or 8 months.
Wow.
Jeez.
So it was insane. I would love to see a show about making the show because people would be like, no. They'd be like, no way. You mean it's not all just roses and and rainbows?
I know they make it look. I mean, obviously, you make it look so happy and good, and it's like, oh yeah, and then just that little bit of like turmoil or controversy. Oh, that's all just made up for the show, but really, you're really liable for millions of dollars.
That's the thing is the reality of it is it's way more stressful and way more amazing, then I can actually show it because they keep you in this box.
I'd rather see it the other way.
Yeah.
I'd rather see it the other way. I would, because I've seen some of the places you did were such dumps. Like I like the word
That's
neglect,
the idea, isn't it?
No, but the word neglect was an understatement. Okay, this was these were shitholes, and you guys went in there and did some amazing stuff, man. I mean, I became a fan. I was at the gym one day. I messaged you and I said, "Dude, I'm watching your show right now at the gym in Canada." It was crazy, and I just started watching it all the time because some of the stuff you guys did was truly incredible.
And you know what? And one thing with our show too is that we actually did the work. You know, I didn't show up in flip flops. I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of other HGTV talent that shows up in flip flops with a hammer, and you're like, dude, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But I can actually do this shit. I'm a licensed GC. Like I do big jobs.
Yeah.
So you still are working that and doing. Oh my gosh, are you doing the show this year now too?
No, we're not filming right now. You know, and I don't know if we'll film again or not. And honestly, like our lives are so good. We did it. And we enjoy our freedom. Again, you know, it did kind of burn us out from them saying, you know, hey, be yourself, but maybe say it this way, or, you know, maybe you shouldn't post that. I couldn't be posting anything
I know. That's what I was wondering. I was actually going to ask that.
That's why Jesse asked too. When we saw your social media and we saw you talking about vaxxing, not vaxxing, and the rest of the stuff, I was like, I don't think they're doing the show anymore because I know those guys would jump on you like this fast, man.
My phone would be blowing up, and I have other talent that messages me privately and says, man, I wish I could post because I totally agree with you, but I can't. And if I did, they would cancel our show.
It's crazy.
Because, but you know, that's the thing. I guess the difference is you're a contractor that's on a TV show. You're not a TV host pretending to be a contractor.
That's right.
So these guys need to have their job because that's their job, and you have actually a skill that you're taking. And
but Jesse, they didn't understand this point. If I saw an interview one time with Bristol when he said that he would rather win an MMA fight, the feeling of winning an MMA fight, than making $100,000 deal on a flip or a flop. You know what I mean? And did you remember saying that on an interview? And he said, you said the feeling of winning an MMA fight is such elation. Like it's there's nothing like it, you know? And I can remember when I did own the MFC for 16 years and I saw people do like crazy things. And I used to manage and train Jason McDonald in the UFC. And I told people I have only cried 3 times in my entire life. When my son was born, when my daughter was born, when I had one tear go down my eye at my wedding with my wife. And when Jason McDonald kicked the shit out of Joe Dorkson in the UFC, that was the 4th time I ever cried in my life. You know what I mean? So I don't know about you. I'm not a crier, but I'll tell you that was pretty profound, that between my kids and my wife, when Jason McDonald shit canned Joe Dorkson, because we our camps hated each other. We had enough of it. And then when he whooped his ass, and then he got the bonus that night too as well. So I said the feeling of that was like, I don't even know how to explain it to people. Like it's just something different.
It is. Yeah. It's the camaraderie. It's going in there and you're really putting it online. And after you get injured a few times, like really bad, you know what it costs. And to get in there, nothing really compares to that. So now I do TV shows. People are like, are you nervous? I'm like, nah.
No way.
I could care less. Like, what are you going to do to me? And that's why like people are, oh, why are you posting this way? You might lose their contract. And I don't care. You know what I mean? That's like, you can't hurt me. Like I'm all, and my mentality too is I've always said this, and I said it to my wife too. I'm like, you know what? We could lose everything. We could lose all the houses and everything. And if I'm shoveling dog shit to support my family, I'll be a happy man.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. And that's because that's the mentality that you've produced in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, because that's something that we always talk about too. You know, we talk about money all the time, and I'm going to ask you about that in the UFC in a minute. But we talk about money all the time, and you could have buckets of it, but you still be unhappy. But you found something, you found a secret there that you can still be who you are and be happy without all that other stuff.
Yeah, that's so true. Because if you look back and you think about when you're 20 And if I was a 20-year-old looking at me right now, I'd be like, oh my God, that's exactly
Crazy.
what I want to be. I'm like, dude, he's got everything. He must be so happy. And now that I'm 39, looking at that 20-year-old, I'm like, bro, you have the same capacity for happiness.
Yeah.
Because I realized after doing the show, I thought, okay, so I got in, fighting was like my thing, you know, and I was always working, but fighting was what I put my escape in. And so if I win this fight, I'll be happy. Okay. It was always a mirage. I get to the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
And then finally I broke my jaw, and my wife is like, I'm never doing this again. Go feed yourself. So I had to suck through a straw for 6 weeks. We had to cancel filming. We had to postpone it for 6 weeks because I was wired shut. And so I'm sitting there sweating, just like I can't even touch myself. I'm all wired shut. I shattered it in half, and my jaw was hanging. And so that was a wake up call to me that, look, fighting, you're not going to find happiness here. You're not going to, there's no like a rainbow at the end of the tunnel. This isn't it. And I realized, and then I kind of went into the filming and said, okay, maybe HGTV, maybe it's a fighting thing. Maybe if I get famous and I can just do interviews and I don't get punched in the face, I'll be happy. And then here we are, 80 hours a week, working my ass off, doing interviews out in the hot, sweating my ass off. And my wife and I are fighting each other, and they're telling me to smile more, look happy. And I'm like, what the hell is this? You know? And then I realized after that ended, I was like, full circle, all the way back to, holy shit, it really is about your family, about your hard work and your mentality. And that
sure is.
You happy because I saw 7 figures, I saw the bank accounts, I saw everything, and I was like, once I get to here, I'll be good. And then I was like, dude, I'm so unhappy. I have anxiety, I have stress because I took on all this extra work because I wanted to prove to my wife that I could build a huge construction company without her. And I don't need her help. You know, we're not flipping anymore. I'm doing these big jobs. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm stressed. And I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm starting to like losing my hair. I'm like, my barber was like, dude, your hair's thinning. And I'm like, all right, that's it. You know, like it's never going to end unless you end it and just realize that. Like, look,
that's what we're finding. But we're finding that, aren't we finding that out right now? That the secret, we're all talking about the secret of happiness, right? And everybody's chasing the dream of happiness. And everybody that's been on the show we got guys that have made $20 million a year playing football, and and what all they talk about now is, and listen, I'm going to say this on the show today. They talk about family. They talk up. Here's one for you, everybody at home. Faith. Yeah. They all have faith. Not one of them that talks about being happy doesn't have faith in their life. Every one of them uses the word faith. Everyone uses the word blessed. Everybody uses the word, and it doesn't matter because they said when they made this much money or that much money, it didn't matter. When you put it all in perspective, it doesn't matter. You can only have so many watches. You can only have so many cars. You can have, you know what I mean? It's all, at the end, it's all bullshit. All bullshit.
It is, yeah.
What makes Bristol happy? I bet you $1 when you're sitting with Aubrey and you're having dinner together with the kids around. That's number one, like just elation. But everybody's talking, all my friends that are broke that make so much money, all they're talking about is what they're paying in alimony, how many car payments they have. And I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about, right? I live a different life, and I'm gonna keep living this till I die. But everybody that's been on this show, like yourself, Bristol, has mentioned the word blessed and faith and family, and that's the thing. They're not talking about their new Rolex. They're not talking about a car. Right. You know, that's all bullshit. Like
exactly. I mean, those things are nice to have. You know,
exactly.
Like, we're all doing it anyways. We're all working hard to better ourselves. But if that's it for you, then you're going to be miserable. You know, it has to be a combination of, like, I went to church. You know, I still get up. I still meditate. I'm getting better about that in my age. I get up. I meditate in the morning. And I take my shoes off. I walk barefoot. I'm getting all hippie. I'm walking around, you know, I'm realizing, like, okay, I want to get focused for the day because I understand that focus is everything. And I used to be so distracted when I was younger. I'd be thinking about this and that, and, you know, and I'm like, nah, it's just focus on a few things. Just slow down a little bit. Don't be so crazy and so fast. Now I run, and now I have no employees. My life is a lot more simple. I'm taking 1 to 2 client jobs and take really big, high end, big like bathroom remodels, or I'll remodel a big house here in Vegas, and then we have like 1 or 2 flips going on, one up in Seattle, Washington, and so keep it manageable. And now we're able to think, I still go to the gym a lot. I still love jujitsu. Like,
Still get to punch people sometimes.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I got to get in there. I got to feel it. Like it doesn't just go away. You don't just dump like thousands of hours and just suddenly. I mean, some guys do, but I can't. I'm like, I still dream about it. I still think about it. And the best way I can describe MMA is, having an MMA career is, that crazy young ex-girlfriend that you had that was like so toxic that you used to love, you used to get mad and freak out, but then you love each other, and then like that's MMA for me. It was like it's like such a roller coaster of ups and downs that like I'll always look back fondly, but I'll like, oh shit, I don't want those lows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the money in the UFC, because I ask this all the time, and obviously it's been coming up a lot lately with other promotions. Paul Brothers, for example, making millions of dollars for people that never made millions of dollars before.
Right.
So what's your take?
Not their fault though. Not their fault.
No, it's fine. Like, no, I agree. I'm glad they're getting paid. But what's your take on it? Does there need to be a union? Does there need to be some sort of regulating body now, especially for the UFC that can get people paid or at least taken care of down the road? Yeah,
that's a good question. I really think there needs to be. There has to be some kind of coalition of fighters to look after each other. And, as a promoter too, I try to pay my guys as best as possible. Obviously my level is so different than the UFC. And I'm not one to, as a business owner, I'm not one to look at the UFC and say, hey, they owe these guys this much money.
Yeah.
I'm like, they signed the contract. Don't sign those contracts. I never bitched. I walked home one time, out of the UFC. You make, like, back when I was fighting, it was like 8-8 in the beginning. 8,000 to fight, 8,000 to win. Pay taxes, pay managers, and you walk home with like $3,500.
Yeah. And
I was like, God, that sucks, but I signed the contract. Nobody forced me to do it. So it's a very catchy thing, because I really think the fighters just have to mobilize, and just everybody, they're going to have to go on strike. It's the same thing as like labor back in the 1910 or whatever for like longshoremen. They went on strike, they formed a union, and then they fought for better wages. And I think that's what you have to do. Otherwise, you're relying on personality. And a lot of these guys, we've seen them talk.
But you can't though, Bristol. You agree you can't, because when I was in the MMA business for 16 years, I comparably to the UFC at one point, I was paying guys way too much money, because I had guys in my organization making $150,000 a year. You know what I mean? So and what I was saying to people was, I was like, yeah, they're like, the split is too much for me, because if you look at, if UFC at that time was paying guys, when I started in 1999. Okay. Right. 1999 was the first MFC. And so I kept going. But then when we signed the deal with all the TV people, I had to put on bigger fights and bigger guys. And, there was 300 guys that fought in the UFC and went to the UFC. And sometimes they went to the UFC and then they came back to the MFC. So it was a constant thing like that. And I was watching and I was looking at some of the money we were paying out. And I was like, we're paying way too much money in comparison to what the UFC is paying. Or maybe we're paying the right amount and the UFC is not paying the right amount, right? And that's probably more like it. And I tell people all the time now, I thought I would never say it out loud, but there has to be a union. There has to be a regulating union, and the only way it can be done, which will never happen in mixed martial arts, because they don't have the fortitude to do it. The top 10 guys that draw on television have to stop fighting. The top 10 guys. Right. We're not fighting. The kid that wants to make 8 or 10 and 10 now, doesn't matter. That's not going to affect it right now, but he's going to benefit the most if they do get a union, because when your company's worth $4 billion, that's what they said it's worth. Okay. I'm the king of capitalism. Okay. So I'm not saying not to be a capitalist. Okay. I'm saying is you have to give rightfully what is theirs. And why we're not taking money out every show, the UFC, for a pension for fighters when it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's like, I saw this and like, I hated it. I hated that it was in the back of my mind, but fighting, I knew that this is, even guys that are fighting in, like, people don't know that fighters don't make as much as they think they do. Just Correct. Because you see a guy, main event, UFC, he's famous, you're getting in line to take a picture with him. You probably a lot of guys, maybe an accountant or somebody that makes good money is probably making 2 or 3 times what their hero is making.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing that people get. Like
it's not
you
right.
know, I watch it with people that don't know, and I tell them, hey, they make like that guy made $50,000. I'm like, no, that guy probably made like $1 million.
Well, he's famous. He's rich.
He's on TV. You're like, no, dude.
He's on benefits, bro.
Yeah.
Well, we have 10 ex-UFC fighters that live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Yep.
And guess what, Bristol? They all have jobs now.
Yeah. And guess what? You're starting in the in the world as a 35, 40-year-old with what skills? And unfortunately, it's kind of like a military thing. You're in special forces, and then you get out, and you're like, okay, what are you going to do now?
Yeah, those skills don't translate.
And I was like, I don't want to be a personal trainer. I don't want to go to the gym all the time, do that. I want to do something else. So it was in the back of my mind my whole fight career. I'm like,
well, that's good.
I was like, I don't trust this game. This is like gambling. This is not, the odds are not in our favor.
No, they're not.
Yeah, that's the foresight you had is pretty good, because a lot of guys don't see that, and unless you want to run a gym, I mean, that's really you're right. Those skills don't translate. They don't translate.
And that's what most people do now. Most guys either own their own gym, or they work at a gym, or they teach private lessons, or they work something like that. But they're not gonna make a great lifestyle for their family.
Or
the next thing, and this is what I want to ask you: television. Do you want to get into television with MMA?
Right. So, as far as me advancing a career, yes, I'm promoting fights in Washington, and I still want to be on the business side of it. And I think, and that's one thing that I guess that my fear of not being able to be, trusting the promoters and when you're younger fighting is, who am I fighting? You kind of show up and your match make with their hometown guy that's like 8-0, and you're like starting out, you show up. Yeah, exactly. So on a lower level, I want to make sure all my fights are well matched. And so I've always thought of me giving back is being a fight promoter. And that's kind of my way of, even since then, is like, hey, I want to be able to make some positive change. And I think the best way I can do it as a fight promoter and inspire younger guys, amateurs into professionals. I've had some guys on my promotion go on, like Abel Trujillo fought on mine, and a bunch of Ultimate Fighter guys. And I would like to do more in the promotion world, and there needs to be more avenues for fighters to fight that are paying well. Bellator is doing good. There's other fight promotions, but again, as a business side, none of those other companies are making money.
Yeah,
only the UFC really makes. LFA makes money. UFC makes money, and that's about it.
Yeah, but I don't think Bellator makes any money.
They don't. I know.
Yeah, and like I said, I've always said that too about Bellator. I like Scott Coker as a human being, but he's one of the shittiest promoters on the planet. He couldn't get anybody excited about anything, and I've said that to Scott right to his face, right? So I'm like, he's a good person, but he doesn't know how to promote. You know what I mean? Like most people would agree. For 16 years, I was like, promoting was my niche. I knew how to, I could sell any fight. I was excited about it. I couldn't sleep. I was so excited about selling fights. And if you can't get excited about your own fights, like in an interview or on television, you're in big trouble. And listen, that's why Dana's so good at it. He can get excited about guys on the undercard. Right. So that's why he's been successful. If you can't get excited about what you're putting on as a product, you shouldn't be a promoter.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't sell the fight cards. You never see an interview. He's a behind the scenes guy. He should be the number 2 guy, the number 1 guy. He needs to hire somebody that can be a face and talk for him and get excited.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's always been the downfall of Bellator. They have so much money behind them that I don't know why they can't see that. It's funny because people reach out to me all the time and ask me, like, Mark, how can you fix that? I'm like, no, I don't even watch Bellator. I don't like if the Douglas Lima, who fought for me for a few years, I'll watch him fight, but that's pretty much it. I don't watch anybody else. And on occasion I watch the UFC. I don't even watch that all the time either, unless it's, I don't know.
Are you a big fan still? Do you still watch everything?
Yeah, I still watch fights a lot. I love boxing. I love MMA. I watch all the fights. I enjoy it. It's entertainment for me. I know a lot of guys like Forrest Griffin. He never watches fights.
No.
He's like, I could care less, you know,
Yeah.
and just, you never know.
We've had a lot of guys say that though. We've had a lot of guys come on and say, I don't watch anymore. Like I rarely watch this.
I don't watch HGTV, you know,
You don't?
It's so like after filming for so long, I watch it and I'm like, okay, I know exactly what they're telling them to say.
Yeah.
Okay, look here. Okay, ready and go. Turn it. Okay, let's go. Okay, cut. And I'm just shaking my head like, oh, it's so fake.
Bristol, do you ever get down to the UFC training center?
Yeah, I go down there sometimes.
Do you?
Nice.
Yeah. I heard it's really nice.
Yeah, I heard it's a good place.
A lot of killers down there. It's cool. It's cool. You see a lot of guys training together, and it's interesting. You know, I'm surprised guys train there. I mean, you'd kind of want, you know, everybody sees is just be able to watch film on you train, but
they're all there.
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bristol, you've given us so much information, and I think if anyone was really paying attention tonight, that's trying to go to that next level or even start off, they should have been listening. You guys can rewind it and listen again because he said it already. But to recap your words of wisdom there to someone young and using your own example from like, hey, I wish I did this a little bit. What's something that you tell these young guys, you know, to keep going forward but keep the head in the right space?
Yeah, exactly. What I would tell a younger person. So I'm 39 now. If I was kind of a lost 20-year-old, I was training, I was working, I just graduated school. I really didn't have a lot of direction. And so the gym was always there for me and it was great. You know, I stumbled my way to success, I think. But if I could tell myself, a younger person, to say, focus on one thing, be an expert in one field.
Yeah.
So just pick something in a general field and be the best freaking guy at it, or girl, doesn't matter. So if like, let's just, for example, if you're going to go, if you don't know what you're going to do, okay, I'm just going to, I do construction. Okay. Well, guess what? Be the guy that's so good at trim. Be the guy that anybody thinks like, okay, he can do baseboard, he can do crown molding. He's the best. Call him. Then you can charge them a lot of money for it. You can make money. You always have something. And then you can open a business. Guess what? We're the best people in the business of trim. So you're not always working for $16 an hour because that's not your end goal. Nobody wants to do that. But if you are a shitbag worker, like kind of like I was in the beginning, and you're kind of like half-assed and you're trying to sell real estate, fight, maybe do a little construction, driving for armored cars just to make money, bouncing here, pick something, slow down, be the best at it, take your time. And if you're going to be a salesman, be the best freaking salesman. Sell everything, read books, study, practice, put your mind and your focus into it. And then things will develop over time, but don't try to go there and try to hit a home run on your first day. Like you got to be the best, be the best at something.
You know, I have a videography business, and so I niche out on a few certain things that everyone's like, you have to call this guy because he's the best at it. But here's the next question about doing something you love, because I find a lot of people sit back and wait for that thing that I love. I have to wait for the thing I love to do.
Yeah. And go broke in the process.
Yeah. And then do nothing. How do you get past that?
Yeah, that's where you gotta really just bite down, because look, my example is I don't love construction, but I'm good at it and I keep doing it and it keeps making me money. And then when my clients go, man, I'm so happy. This house is amazing. You made our dream house. Here's a $50,000 check. I go, oh shit. Like, that's good.
I love this.
Okay, this is good. This is good. Okay. All those times where late at night where I was like, I'm so sick of this. Like, I don't want to do this. And that's when it all pays off. So it's kind of like, I also want to say F your feelings and just be super good at one thing and just bite down and just do it. Because if you're like, I don't like to do crown molding, well, guess what? Neither did the guy that makes, $100 an hour. He didn't like to do it in the beginning either. But guess what? Now he makes $100 an hour. But if you don't just say, I'm going to be the best at this, even though I kind of hate it right now, then you're going to be stuck at $16 an hour forever.
And that's a newsflash for some people out there too, because when you go into something that you massively love and then you're not doing that anymore, and then you're doing something else. Let me explain this to the kids at home. cash is a great motivator. And if anybody tells you it's not, they're lying. Okay.
Yeah.
When you see a check for $50,000 and it's in your hand for the work that you've done, that could be your motivation. And I'm telling you, man, like people, when I was doing MMA for 16 years, people go, Mark, what are you going to do now? You know, like, how are you going to like get I said, when I sign a client for my marketing company and it's $100,000, that'll get me excited, So
yeah, exactly. And you know what? And so that's the point, is like, have your hobbies and have fun with your hobbies, but don't turn your hobbies into, well, it's my passion, I love it. Well, okay, cool, then do it on Saturday. But guess what? Friday, you're gonna have to do the shit that you don't like. And then when you become an expert at it, then you get in the zone, and that's when you actually start enjoying what you do, when you know you're the best and you're beating the competition and you get in the zone, you're focused, and that's when you be fulfilled. You may not love it, but it's not going to suck anymore.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Well, Bristol Marunde, thank you so much for joining us tonight and taking time out of your schedule and your family. But hey, man, again, Mark told me before, he's like, this is going to be a great interview, and you absolutely were.
Well, one of the good guys, right? One of the good guys, and one of the good guys that still use the term "Merry Christmas." Okay, everybody. So don't get that straight. And there's nothing wrong with it. Hey, and also too, if Yellowstone, Yellowstone now with Kevin Costner, they're looking for another guy. Our guy Bristol might be available. Okay.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'll grow a beard and smoke. I'll smoke a cigar. Let's go.
That would be sick.
We're gonna tag Yellowstone.
There it is.
My dad jokes.
Serve fresh daily.
Yep.
Well, we're gonna tag Yellowstone on social media. Make sure maybe Bristol get a roll on that Yellowstone.
Oh, that'd be great. Let's make it happen. Let's try acting.
Yeah, why not?
Hey, why not? Well, thanks so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we can catch up one day again soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, man. Bristol Marunde, everybody.
There he is.
Former UFC veteran, tough competitor, and then he was part of the HGTV.
Yeah, super cool.
Flipper Flop Las Vegas.
The funny story I should have told him this, but the funny story I have about HGTV, because me and Nikki used to watch HGTV all the time. We loved it. And then we internet streaming stuff came along, we canceled. So none of the kids really grew up with it, really. Maybe some of the younger ones remember a little bit. So we're staying at a hotel one time with all the kids, and we're flipping through the TV because it's cable. And so HGTV, I like this show. The kids are like, this is so dumb. What is this stupid channel? And then all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, the show ended, and I turned the channel, like, hey, we were watching that. Turn that back. We ended up watching HGTV all night long. Wow. They didn't want to watch a movie. They just wanted to watch, like, Flip or Flop. Like, they wanted to watch
I like it. I like it. His wife, Aubrey's a very nice lady. He's got 2 kids, and they got it going on, man. They're killing it right now in Las Vegas, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? She's in real estate. He's in construction. And, you got to give the guy a plug, too, just for standing up for himself in a time when,
nobody really feels they can. And that's part of the issue now. Because I tell people, like, hey, like, especially in Canada, like, it's almost got to keep your mouth shut now, because people are they're witch hunting everyone out there, and it's ridiculous.
I saw in a store the other day, Jesse, 99.9% of the people were wearing a mask. One person walked in without a mask, and it was literally like leprosy, like the person had leprosy. I'm not joking. And everybody turned at the same time in the store and was watching the one person walk without a mask on. And I thought to myself, this is what it's all came to.
But they're the problem.
Yeah. No, it's just, it's crazy.
Well, okay. So sports, you like the new background?
I love the new background.
Yeah.
Love.
We got our boy Tassan Ricketts jersey up there, autographed.
Love Toss.
Right there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Got my boy Russ up there.
Wilson,
a few short games left before he comes to New York Giant.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Got my fishing rods. See all those bad boys? Look at all those things, eh?
Beautiful.
All lined up.
Beautiful.
Ready for the next spring.
Ready to go.
I might head south though, because I got to find a river that's not iced.
Oh, pre.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
sick
great.
of all this ice.
Yeah, there's lots of it, because hiking season has started in the winter, and I've been faced with the ice.
It was a cold one today.
Oh, and it was, I said that they built a treadmill behind my house for me because it goes the whole green belt from one end to the other. And I said, that's my new treadmill for the year. So I just run right down that thing, a few dozen times, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Well, lots going on in the sports world, obviously, but what did I want to say? Football.
Yes.
Football. I don't even know who the favorite. I don't remember a year that there hasn't been that clear cut.
I like it though. I like that because of that.
Now,
yeah, I do personally. I like that there's nobody that's so far ahead. You look at Casey. People are saying, "Oh, look, Casey's on a little bit of a roll right now." But then you see them last week. They won, but they didn't look good winning.
It's not
and
great.
then and then you saw Tampa Bay, and they lost last week, and then you're like, "Oh, and they look pretty good this week," and then. It's like, and then the Cowboys lose to the Raiders, but then come back and look fantastic this week. Yeah. And then the Raiders beat Dallas and then look like the Raiders this week. And it's like, and it's just like, you look at football and
Actually,
you're like,
it was a really interesting article I read about parity in the NFL ruining fantasy football.
Oh,
because
100% it is.
Because everyone's got the same team now because there's such a parity. Like they did such a good job with balancing the league, which I do think you need. There had to be more parity because the basketball's screwed up. Basketball's messed up. Like there's four teams.
It's a disgrace.
And that's it. Like if you're not on one of those teams, you're not going to win, and everybody knows that. And that sucks. I hate that because it really hurts.
It's balanced. It's balanced.
They did a good job with making parity in the league.
Now, Jesse.
Yes,
it wasn't like
always
that before.
like that. No. Yeah. Now it is. And I mean, yes, there's teams. Obviously, Detroit sucks, but.
Yeah. They
That's
won.
Pretty normal.
They won.
I can't believe they beat them.
Crowd went nuts.
Crowd
went nuts.
Oh my
God, it's crazy.
But it's interesting that the league now is it is quite even. Like on a weekly basis. Like these teams can play each other. So it's really weird. I don't know who to pick. I still would say Tampa's probably the favorite, but it could be a Tampa New England final.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be something?
And who thought New England? Look at New England right now. I mean, like, what's going on?
Little chub boy over there. He's Mac. He's actually playing all right. Belichick's got him turning into a little Tom there. Not as good.
Did the hypnosis? Hey, what are you talking about? Not as good. He's not as good this year. But
I know, but he doesn't have that instinct like Tom. And again, maybe it happens, but Tom had it. Tom had the little.
He still has it.
Yeah, and he still does.
He does things.
22 years in the league. I just saw the stat today. He has 35 touchdowns. It's more than over half of the league's team.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
You know what I love about him in the pocket? Why don't more quarterbacks do this? Your guy Russell Wilson does it, but the rest of quarterbacks don't do it. They get in the pocket. What does Tom Brady do all the time after I always say the 3-second rule? You count to 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. Usually the pocket starts to implode on you. What does he do every time? He steps forward into the pocket. Yeah. Other quarterbacks like Derek Carr, they wilt in the pocket, right? And then they get sacked.
Well, Russ doesn't get to do that because he's never had 3 seconds of time in his entire career.
Since he's been playing. It's
1.3 seconds his average.
It's horrible. Horrible. Yeah,
Tom Brady's always, and that's one thing about Tom. He's smart. Yeah. And they knew, like, hey, if you give this guy 3 seconds with the ball,
you're dead.
It's over. Like
You're dead.
It is. Yeah. Every time you look at Tom lose,
there's a pass.
They've gotten to him.
There's pressure.
He can't. And again, but that's how it is, and everybody knows that. Everybody knows that's how the league's played. But not everybody can do it. So so it is one of those things. But Tom's still, 44 years old, still chucking the ball.
Unbelievable.
And still looking like could win another one. Like
he could.
It's crazy. Rodgers has a chip on his shoulder. I think it would be
big one. Big chip.
Oh, big chip. Like obviously he wants to win. I wonder what is going on in his head. I want to win, but I don't want them to win. Kind of thing.
Totally. Yeah. I want to win personally.
Yeah.
But I don't.
And obviously he loves the fans and everything. But he got screwed by the management a bit. But they have a history of doing it. They did it to Favre too. That was disrespectful. That was disrespectful to Favre.
I can't stand Green Bay. I love Brett Favre and I love Rodgers. But I don't like
Rodgers, but I like Favre.
The whole organization, it's horrible the way they do.
The management's messed up. I don't get it.
Yeah. They're all hillbillies in Green Bay anyway. So
geez.
I just said that on the show. I did, yeah. So what? Sue me. You know, Green Bay, a bunch of hillbillies. You know.
Well, other than that,
they shovel their own stadium. You know,
well, they have to. They're part owners.
Well, yeah, WestJet. Yeah, they did the WestJet thing. Yeah, be a part owner.
Well, I guess that's it. I mean,
I think that's a season, isn't it? Is that a season?
That's a season. That's season one.
Season one of our sports.
It was probably 20 episodes more than we needed to make in season one.
And don't forget this too. We didn't repeat one guest.
No,
one guest in 2021.
No.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But
over the next few weeks, Mark and I are going to pick some of our best shows that we really liked, and we're going to play those over for you till the new year,
and be ready to go.
And be ready to go for the new year.
Yeah,
we're going to build Mark a set too.
Yeah, isn't this his? I love your set. I do. I think it's so.
Yeah, my friend made these custom rod holders. This is actually.
Wow.
The wood here is a wine barrel. On the other side of this is purple.
Oh, that is so
from
cool.
the wine.
So
cool. It's like super cool. I get it.
So he's making the beard thing in the back is not getting enough attention.
Thing.
That's not getting enough attention. I don't know if you can. Can you move?
I have
your camera?
A light coming that's behind it, so it'll shine the light through the back.
Can you give it? Can you go up a little bit with your camera, just a titch, so we can see it at home?
I can't move my camera up. But everyone can see that.
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, that's very cool.
But yeah, so there'll be a light behind it that it'll illuminate a little more, and I'll put some more flair on there. It wasn't quite done. I was actually planning on doing it. It just kind of all came together, so I was like, whatever. Let's launch it now.
It looks great. It looks great.
So, hey everybody, thanks for watching this year. It's been really fun. Thanks so much, Mark, for
Crystal Glass, unbelievable, fantastic sponsor of the show.
We had some great sponsors. We had Boston Pizza sponsor this year. We had Fight Promotion sponsor us this year. We got to go to commentate a fight. Crystal Glass now our current sponsor, and so we just thank you all for believing in us and putting it out there, and we'll keep it rolling.
And bigger and badder in 2022.
Absolutely. And I think there's one thing that we could leave everybody with is, we said at the beginning, Mark and I, that we didn't want to, just have the regular, hey, we give 110% type interviews.
Yeah.
No. We wanted something a little more meaningful because we've done 3 or 4 years of really meaningful content.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's the mental health world, which it was
a hard day, but it's really interesting how this year, everybody's brought in some real valuable life lessons that's super important from their careers and things like that too. So that's going to keep going on with that and find those guests that really know how to talk. And it's been fun. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Jesse.
Until next time, that's Mark Pavlich. I'm Jesse Marno. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast. We'll see you next year. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/Me and Jesse.